To other news now, and rescue teams are searching for hundreds of people left stranded or feared missing a day after a strong earthquake hit southwest China. At least 65 people are now known to have died when the 6.8 magnitude quake struck Sichuan province. Millions of people in the region were already dealing with a COVID-related lockdown. Well, let's cross live to Beijing, where we can speak to our correspondent, Stephen McDonnell. Stephen, the lockdown presumably means that there would be more people indoors and at risk from an earthquake than would normally be the case.
Well, the fortunate thing is that where the earthquake actually hit is not the big cities where people are locked down. So, for example, if it had been Chengdu, where there are tens of millions of people confined to their homes, you can imagine what a disaster that would have been. And there's been footage all over social media here, by the way, of residents pouring out of buildings after they felt even though it wasn't the epicenter, they felt the earthquake, trying to leave the compounds where they live, and emergency workers saying, well, you can't, don't worry, it's not so serious, this earthquake. Very heated scenes indeed. But where the earthquake really hit, the epicenter, is to the west of Sichuan, in the west of Sichuan, up on the Tibetan Plateau. Now, at the best of times, that can be a pretty remote area to move around. The bad news for rescue teams there is that more rain is predicted over the next 3 days. Now, you imagine, there you are, there are hundreds of workers at the moment, rescue workers, trying to reach people who are thought to be trapped under rubble and the like, and you're attempting to cut through collapsed parts of buildings or rock or whatever, and having to do that with the rain as well. It's very tough. Another problem is that that area is known for its hydropower, so they're having to check all the hydropower facilities. Obviously, that would be pretty disastrous if that was damaged. And what's more is that the earthquake has created these mudslides which have come down into rivers and sort of formed natural, if you like, dams, lakes, rivers that should become lakes. Now the rain's coming and filling those dams up. Of course, the problem could be that eventually they burst and then you get flash flooding. So a lot of problems to consider for the emergency teams working right now in Sichuan.
And then in terms of the repercussions of this, do we know if the province is now out of the woods in terms of aftershocks and subsequent things that could make the rescue efforts difficult?
No, well, you know, I've been in Sichuan after earthquakes, especially the big one in 2008, and the aftershocks keep coming for weeks. So sometimes they're quite big, what's more. Now, that can also be dangerous because if a building's been damaged and then you get an aftershock, well, it can then collapse. It also, again, makes it hard for the rescue workers in amongst all that rubble trying to find survivors if these aftershocks keep coming. The upside for this, if I could put it that way, is that the epicenter was not one of the places where there are massive cities in that area. Not in Chongqing, not in Chengdu. It would be a much more catastrophic event if it had been in those areas.
OK, Stephen, thank you very much. Stephen McDonnell there for us, our correspondent in Beijing.